That Was Yesterday podcast is brought to you by Define Mind and Body Wellness, my wellness center here in Glastonbury, Connecticut, where we specialize in holistic services to help shortcut the process so that you can see results fast, but learn to do it in a habitual way. So many of the topics we talk about are part of the program that our clients receive, except they get much more in-depth detail. Also, my workbook of the 10-week program to lose and never look back, which is only available to our patients at Define. If you are interested in holistic body fat spot reduction, or our pod to increase your metabolism, or our cold plunge, or our sauna, which is the best sauna in the world, that I promise you. I know that sounds biased, but you'll see for yourself. Please go to definewellnesscenter.com. You will be prompted to put your information in and make sure to mention podcast when you do, as you will be eligible for a bigger discount on our introductory services because you are a listener. Appreciate you. Have a great day and enjoy today's podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the That Was Yesterday podcast. I am your host, Joe Carabase, and today we are talking about how to improve your gut health. I have to tell you something. This you may know. I am not a doctor. Shocking, right? Well, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a GI expert, specialist. I am none of those things. But here's what I can tell you, and you just tell me if I'm far off from your experience and anybody else's experience who has had GI issues recently in the medical world. Typically, this is what's happening right now. A lot of these GI centers are so overly booked that, first of all, it takes forever to get an appointment. Doesn't matter what you got going on. Secondly, it's a frustrating endeavor. You get there, they don't know exactly what's wrong. You tell them your symptoms. They treat you for what they think it could be, or they test you for what they think it could be, but they're hardly ever able to tell you exactly what it is and to heal it holistically. In other words, heal it without having you take something over the counter, some sort of medication. Ironic thing about medications, especially for gut health, is that it's not good for your gut to take prescription pills and over the counter pills because there's waste and byproduct associated with that. It's not good for your gut to take that stuff regularly, right? But oftentimes that is what we are told to do to treat our stomach issues, which is why so many times you have stomach issues and you just stay within the GI world, so to speak, in the medical world. You go through that experience and you kind of end up worse off where you started. You maybe have some ups and downs, or you just get frustrated and say, screw it. But the reality of the situation is there are holistic things you can do. And again, I am not a doctor, so I'm not saying I'm going to heal anything you got going on. But what I am telling you is that if you at least follow these tips without a question, if you are experiencing GERD and gas and stomach issues, your gut health will be better than it was. I can tell you that much. And so I highly recommend you take note, listen up, give this stuff a shot. Of course, if you have any underlying condition or issue, get a second opinion, ask your doctor if he has any concerns. But all this stuff is holistic that I'm going to suggest. All right. And a lot of it is based off of holistic tips you can apply, as well as lifestyle adaptations and things for you to be aware of. Because again, there just seems to be this massive gap between a prevalence of stomach issues and practical solutions that are given to people to help with those stomach issues. All right, let's dive in. Number one, I feel like I have said this a million times in my life, and I feel like people roll their eyes whenever they hear it, but it's something that needs to be said because, believe it or not, it is a widespread issue. So number one, the first thing I'm going to suggest is to make sure you're drinking enough water. I laugh when I say that because it's like something I guarantee you've heard a million times before, and I can assure you the tips are going to get way more they'll get way more exciting after this one, but you got to start here because it's the easiest thing. And again, you would be shocked. So many people, even people who tell me they drink a lot of water. Look, if you're 200 pounds and you're drinking 2 bottles of water a day, that's not a lot of water, right? You should be drinking about half your body weight in ounces of water for most people, or at least close to it. Why is water important with gut issues? Well, if you don't have enough water, your stomach will be more acidic, number one. Number two, so oftentimes when people are constipated, it is a hydration issue. And so simply by improving your hydration, you will at least help, perhaps get rid of the constipation issue. Next is to think more about your alkalinity. The pH within your system, there's alkalinity and there is acidity. Now, acidity, in my eyes, is the big issue that is affecting a lot of people. And if you just think about it, the American diet with all the oils and all the coffee consumption, look, I am not talking down on coffee. I have 2 kids under 3. I drink coffee. Let me just tell you that much, people. But what I do is I have a strategy in place for my coffee consumption, of which I will share as we move forward. But the point is, so much of the things that we enjoy in our life, from alcohol to coffee to onions and various other things, are very acidic. And if we don't factor that in and we don't balance out the acidity, I don't care what supplement or surgery or scope they shove up your butt or down your throat, you're going to be screwed. And so we've got to make sure we increase your alkalinity. And so the ways of which you can do that, I'm going to share. So number one, easy thing for you to do is incorporate aloe vera juice, 100% aloe vera juice, no sugar added. Aloe vera juice has a lot, well, aloe vera, I should say, has a lot of benefits for gut health. There's a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. It's going to help digest. It soothes the stomach. There is said to be a laxative effect that I can't say one way or another, but it helps balance out your gut flora, can heal ulcers, helps with hydration, detoxification, even nutrient absorption. Like, there's a ton of benefits to it. So I like aloe vera juice that, again, is 100% organic, no sugar added. There is also aloe vera gel and aloe vera supplements. But again, I would recommend the juice, something you can put into a shake or drink it straight. One thing else I will say is a bit of irony here, because I'm talking about how to be more alkaline and less acidic, which I guess what I'm about to share is going to accomplish that. However, with and when you drink alcohol, right? Alcohol is acidic. So I'm not saying if you have bad stomach issues, until you get it resolved, I would not drink alcohol. I know that might sound crazy to you, but I'm just telling you, alcohol is very acidic and very toxic, way more toxic than we give it credit to. All I'm simply trying to illustrate here, though, once you have your stomach health somewhat under control and you do want to drink alcohol, I would recommend using aloe vera as a mixer. I use it with Casamigos tequila because, again, it is alkaline. And so that helps me balance the acidity from alcohol. All right, moving forward. So in addition to aloe vera to help your alkalinity, a super greens powder is, I think, a must for anybody. So there's a lot of brands out there. You probably heard commercials for Athletic Greens. It's expensive, but it's good quality. There's a lot on Amazon. They think there's one called like something grass. I don't know. But like, here's the deal with super greens. It should taste like you're drinking super greens. So for those of you guys who are like, I don't like the taste of it. Well, would you like to have stomach issues more? Like, what are we doing here? Greens powder isn't going to taste like a milkshake. Like, what world do you live in? It should taste like greens. And if there's a lot of stuff added to it, like sugars and fake sugars and all that other jazz, those are things that actually hurt your stomach. So if we're talking about healing your stomach, think about having a green shake that tastes like green shakes. And you're like, what does that taste like? Well, just imagine, right? Like, it's not going to taste, it shouldn't taste super sweet by nature, right? And again, if you want to heal your gut health, if you want to continue to complain about the issue and take pills to make your health worse, then you can go ahead and do that. But if you do want to heal your stomach, then this will help for sure. It'll also help with your elimination, your digestion, your overall nutrients. So there's a ton of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals in a lot of super greens powders, which super greens are essentially just flash frozen vegetables. And some vegetables, by the way, that we don't have access to. So even if you're like, well, I eat a lot of spinach. Well, cool. But first of all, the absorption in spinach isn't going to be as high as we'd like it to be because of soil and so many other things. Secondly, it's likely you're not getting enough anyway, right? So this is going to help in a lot of ways. Next is celery powder. Celery powder ironically tastes like celery. Who would have thought? But rich in fiber, anti-inflammatory. It's going to help with hydration. It's also going to help with antioxidants. And so it's extremely healthy to take. And then I like to have my celery powder along with marshmallow root. Now, marshmallow root is going to soothe the gut lining, anti-inflammatory, help with ulcers, can help with constipation. And by the way, marshmallow root doesn't taste like marshmallows. Sorry to say. But it's kind of tasteless, if you will. However, I'll do 1 scoop of celery powder with 2 scoops of marshmallow root. I'll have that after my coffee consumption is done in the morning. And again, that's because coffee is bringing about acidity. And if I'm going to back it up one step further, a lot of times people make the mistake of waking up and having coffee. I get it, because when I wake up after working late, if my son was up, like not a whole lot of sleep, not bragging about it, but just a season of life, something I'm always working up against, but I am working on and aware of. Nonetheless, waking up first thing in the morning and, you feel like you need coffee to breathe, right? I get it. Trust me. That being said, don't have coffee first thing. Like, I'm not saying wait. A lot of these people are like, oh, wait 25 minutes, wait 3 hours. No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying drink at least 12 ounces of water first. Trust me. It's better for your gut. It's better for your body. It's better for your hydration. Then have your coffee. And after you're done with your coffee, then that's when I would have the marshmallow root along with the celery powder to balance the acidity. And trust me, it will make a world of difference. Or, because you know what a lot of doctors, GI doctors can tell you? Don't have coffee. And look, maybe you're someone who shouldn't have coffee. Again, I'm not a doctor, and I actually am not sitting across from you. I don't have your stuff in front of me anyway. So I'm speaking at large, right? Speaking to the general population here. So there are always special contraindications. That being said, again, before you go in any extreme taking medications, and I consider that an extreme. We treat medications like it's water. We should start thinking more, a little bit more in depth before we just get prescribed medication and take medication. There's a lot that could happen first. And by the way, same thing with surgeries and this scope and that scope. Like, why not see what we can do without any of the medical intervention that doesn't do anything good for our body, may relieve the symptoms, but does not solve the root cause? Can we just take a break, step back, and try things first? Can we do that? So a lot of times you'll hear when you have stomach issues, a doctor will be like, "Well, you shouldn't have coffee," and maybe he is right. But I would say maybe if you focus on what I'm telling you and increase your alkalinity, that coffee won't be as much of an issue as it is right now. That being said, I will add to that, as someone who has had gastritis and serious stomach issues, I was hospitalized during my last bodybuilding prep. Because during bodybuilding, I'm eating mostly protein, and protein is acidic, guys. This is the thing. A lot of healthy foods are acidic. And so if you're eating healthy foods, you're eating unhealthy, drink coffee, a lot of things that happen in your life could just bring about acidity, which is why we have to be ultra aware of balancing out. Anyway, the point is that I have been there before, and I can tell you that when you have stomach issues, it's horrible. I couldn't get out of bed. We were on vacation. It was the worst. And then again, I was in the middle of a bodybuilding prep. It wasn't good, right? And these things have all helped significantly myself, but also so many other people. And they're not just like things that I've made up. These are things that are backed up. But all my point is that, like, more medication, more surgeries, that's not the answer. Like, sometimes they're necessary, but why start there, right? Can you give yourself 30 days first? I think you can. It might take you 30 days to get in to see a doctor anyway. All right, next down the list, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is going to help improve digestion. It's going to help balance out your pH levels. There's a lot of antimicrobial properties there. It could help reduce heartburn, which it sounds, by the way, weird, right? Because like vinegar doesn't seem like it would be acidic, right? But nonetheless, it is really good for your gut health. Now, of course, there's gummies that are apple cider vinegar. I mean, that's what supplement industry loves. They love things that are healthy to then take those things and make them taste really good and then sell them to people and have a really high profit margin, which, by the way, I'm all for capitalism, but I'm not for the way things are marketed sometimes. And so while apple cider gummies might be helpful to you, I would simply say this: apple cider vinegar is going to be better, right? Because you're not getting whatever is added to that gummy. And it might say, oh, it's 0 sugar. Well, why does it taste good? Oh, there's no sugar added. Okay, so there's fake sugar. Okay, well, let's just get that on the table, because you don't go out into the farm and go to the gummy bear plant and pick gummy bears that have apple cider vinegar in them, right? Those are obviously synthetic. They aren't made. They are genetically modified. So yes, if that is the only way you're going to have it, my suggestion would obviously be taking a shot of it. I say obviously because that's the most direct route. However, I am a pragmatic person. And so another option for you could be to dilute it, to pour a shot of apple cider vinegar in a water, put a little lemon in there. You got a homemade Gatorade. Look at that. Bada boom, bada bing. So nonetheless, that it does help. It's something for you to consider. Now, probiotics and prebiotics, I definitely recommend. Sometimes you can find a supplement together. I have a fiber powder that actually has these in them as well. But basically, with probiotics and prebiotics, you're going to increase your overall gut health. Going to help with digestion. It's going to help reduce inflammation. There's going to be good bacteria. That's really going to help your gut bacteria that you want to have, right? So I would certainly recommend these things. And, it could also help with your immune system. The gut is so important. I don't know. It's kind of, to me, frustrating how I feel like the GI world is so far behind. And I can say that because I work with a lot of people day to day. And I have been doing this for about 20 years. And I can tell you over the last 5 years, if I had to guess the amount of people that I stand in front of a day, I would say about 70% of people have some sort of gut issue going on. And yet, almost all of those people have been completely dissatisfied with what their quote unquote GI experts told them. That's not including, like, there's a lot of good holistic health practitioners out there who have helped. But I'm saying in terms of like actual general medication or medical doctors, GI doctors, I've yet to hear anybody overwhelmed by, wow, that was really good for me. Got to the root cause and I didn't have to take a ton of medications, a ton of surgeries. Like that just doesn't happen. Not to mention, they give you about 5 minutes when you see them. And I get it. They're overbooked. Again, because of the overlying big issues at play. There's a lot of root causes that need to be developed. And so many people are dealing with gut issues. And so, yes, of course, they are understaffed. That being said, there's no conversation or hardly ever conversation about lifestyle, about other things that are going on in your life. They're simply looking at symptoms. That's never a good way to get to the root cause. All right. Next up, fiber powder. I kind of mentioned this, but it's going to help clean out your gut. It's going to help, obviously, keep you regular. Be careful of all of the extra stuff that can be found in fiber powder, like Metamucil, I would stay away from. Sun fiber is actually a really good one you can find on Amazon. I definitely would recommend that. I also recommend digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes will help your body absorb nutrients. So when you're not absorbing nutrients, that can lead to excess gas. That can lead to what's called leaky gut because there's a lot of sort of excess that's just sort of in your gut, which certainly is going to cause inflammation and many other sort of issues, which, by the way, I'm sort of flying by the seat of my pants here, but I wanted to finish a thought when I was saying about gut health being so important. I didn't really finish that thought. Gut health is directly correlated with cognition. It's directly correlated with the immune system. So it's way more than just a horrible pain that you may feel in your stomach. So all this stuff, like, I hope you really take to heart. So these are things to do, right, that you can take. Another thing that you can do that's going to help is to log what you're eating and identify patterns. Again, if you're not willing to write out what you eat, when you eat, and see, hey, when am I moving bowels? How do the bowels feel? Was I constipated? How do I feel after I eat certain things? If you're not willing to do that, then stop complaining about your stomach. Just being real with you. Like, you can do it. I know you're busy. We're all busy. But if you want to change, like, you got to be an advocate for yourself. Nobody's going to swoop down and be like, oh, here, genie in a bottle, let me help you with your gut issue. Like, that's just not the way it works. Sometimes it takes work. Now, certainly if you work with a place like Define, we're here to guide you, right? We're here to help you. We're here to look at what you're eating, what you're not eating, and take a look at all that stuff. But certainly, you got to investigate it yourself. Again, you're not going to get that level of service from a GI doctor in most cases. So log what you're eating and note anytime you don't feel right, if there's something going on, after you eat a certain pattern of foods, like, there's evidence there. Trust me, there's evidence there. So that's something you can do. Now, lastly, what you should avoid, or at least avoid as much as you can. We talked about alcohol. I'm not saying don't avoid it. I'm just simply saying, like, it is acidic and it's toxic. So do with that what you will. But avoid carbonated drinks. Having a lot of carbonated drinks is not great on the stomach. Now, this is something I think is more about theory than it is I can point to any particular type of research, but carbonation, especially if it's like diet soda, which kind of brings me to the next one, which is artificial sweeteners, and also regular sugar. But staying on carbonation for a minute, there's a lot of carbonated drinks out there, and it's becoming more and more popular. And if you're having more carbonated drinks than you are having water, that is an issue. And I would say if you're having more than 2 carbonated drinks a day, even if they're 0 calorie, that would be a sign to be like, okay, let's slow down. Let's see what happens if we do 1 a day, right? So, that's what I would say with that. Now, if you're adding into the carbonation artificial sweeteners like diet soda, it's like, oh, well, there's 0 sugar. Well, dude, come on. In what world is something with 0 sugar going to taste as sweet as diet soda? Look, every like blue moon, I like to have a diet soda. Anything once in a while is fine. But if you're having multiple diet sodas a day or anything, Crystal Light is another culprit here. Crystal Light, anything loaded with artificial sweeteners, gum. If you're having excess amounts of gum, artificial sweeteners are horrible for your gut. Your body does not know how to break them down. So what do? Well, they stay in your gut. Do you think that's good for your gut? Yes or no? I dare you to say yes. And if so, good luck. All right. Because the point is artificial sweeteners are horrible for your gut. And it's really undeniable. The last thing, this should go without saying, but added sugar as well. If you're eating a lot of added sugar, that is not good for your gut. Just imagine what it does. Like I just have a visual of like just pouring sugar into a bowl, like, and it just sits there. That's kind of what it does. Like a lot of added sugar is just going to sit into your gut, eventually store as fat, but create a toxic environment. Because by the way, it's toxic by nature, right? Like sugar is toxic. It's inflammatory by nature. And being aware of, there's a lot of inflammatory foods you should be aware of, but certainly alcohol, sugar, artificial sweeteners, these are right at the top of the list. Be careful how much over-the-counter pills you're taking. I'm not saying like if your doctor told you to take baby aspirin every day, like I'm not saying don't take it. I'm just simply saying it wouldn't be the first time that doctors have recommended something that helps the pharmaceutical companies. And the truth of it is, if you're taking something every single day, especially something that's like for gut health, quote unquote, like Emprezol, which is going to be something that is oftentimes recommended to take. If you're taking that indefinitely, that is not good for your gut. So like, be careful of the amount of extra things that you're like supplements your body's going to utilize, right? However, you're taking medicine, there's byproduct, there's waste there, which can create toxins and create more inflammation and more of the issues that you may be struggling with. So keep all of this stuff in mind. I highly recommend give yourself a runway of 30 days to make changes holistically, see how you feel, and go from there. Thanks for tuning in to That Was Yesterday with me, Joe Carabase. And remember, every step forward is progress. We'll catch you next time. And in the meantime, if you found any value from this episode, please share with friends and go ahead and give us a 5-star review. I appreciate you. Talk to you soon.